Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets cracked the land upon bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
On behalf of Duke Raleigh Hospital's executive leadership team, it is my honor to thank all of those who have served on this day, Veterans Day. Duke Raleigh Hospital is committed to being part of the community and honoring those who have served, those who have loved ones who have served, or who are in active military duty. In honor of that, I would ask you to pause and reflect on those who mean the most to you and who have impacted your lives as veterans, and encourage you to write their names on the bulletin board in the main hallway of Duke Raleigh Hospital. As you will see today and throughout the month of November, we have digital signs throughout our campus that will honor all of our team members who have served in the military. Thank you for your service. Thank you for protecting our freedom. Thank you for all that you do each and every day. You have our respect and gratitude today and always. Thank you.
Greetings, my name is Dixon. I'm a U.S. Air Force Reserve chaplain attached to the 1st Special Operations Wing in Hurlburt Field, Florida. I've been invited to give the invocation on this Veterans Day, so I invite you to lift your hearts with me as we lift our hearts together. Great love, loving in and through us. Thank you for inviting us this day into the flow of your self-givenness. We are reminded of your presence today in those women and men of the armed forces who have given and continue to give of themselves for the sake of others. Thank you for the fruit of your presence at work in and among them. We lift our hearts together with theirs through your spirit of unity to continue to seek the selflessness of our sisters and brothers in arms. As we have learned from them, help us not to hurt each other, but to lift each other up and to carry one another's heavy weights as you continue to do with us. As we celebrate this particular day of emphasis in our country, we realize that you are the one who gives courage to make the courageous, strength to make the strong, and humility to make the humble. Please protect those in deployed locations and bring them home safely to their loved ones. And please make our path straight in every occasion as we place all our hope and trust in your love. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
From Navy SEAL to Army physician to full-service family practice provider, our speaker today offers a unique perspective on these unprecedented times. Dr. Bob Adams served 14 years in the Navy, 12 on the SEAL teams, before changing services to attend medical school on an Army scholarship. As an Army physician, Dr. Adams commanded various clinics, served 4 years as a command surgeon for the U.S. Army Delta Force, deployed to Iraq with the 82nd Airborne Division, and served as the Chief of Department of Deployment Health at Womack Army Medical Center. After retiring from the Army Medical Corps, Dr. Adams founded a full-service clinic in Knightdale where he practiced for more than 13 years. Since retiring from active practice earlier this year, Dr. Adams published his second book, looking back at 35 years of medicine at peace and war. I am honored to introduce fellow veteran and physician, Dr. Bob Adams.
Hello and happy Veterans Day. Thank you all for joining me for this video commemoration of a great day in our nation's holiday schedule. For those of you that are working, blessings to you. I know it's hard to work on holidays, but the mission you do is so important and I appreciate it. Now, I'm a retired physician now, retired Army colonel and an ex-Navy SEAL, so I have a wonderful opportunity today to tell you a little bit about Veterans Day and what it means to those of us that have served. Armistice Day was its original name, and it was named after the 11th day of the 11th month of the end of World War I, the war to end all wars. But in 1954, it was changed to Veterans Day, recognizing that our nation has had more than a few wars and will continue to have wars. And now we get a chance to stop and say thank you to the veterans that have served. Over 1 million have served in uniform, 400,000 died in World War II, as an example of the kind of sacrifice our men make. And when I was invited to do this talk, they said, talk about you. And I thought, well, there's some things that I've done, and please feel free to read about them in my 2 books. But I really want to talk about the men I've served and served with, because that's what Veterans Day is really all about. We, as veterans, have the wonderful opportunity to learn about many, many people from many, many places that we've never been or even thought about. And many of those go on to do great things. And I want to tell you today about a few men that have done great things. And I'm going to start out by talking about my Navy SEAL classmates. There were 10 of them. I'm the 11th out of 70 men that went through Hell Week together. 6 days, no sleep, soaking wet, freezing cold, shivering uncontrollably. And I went back and talked to them all, and we've stayed friends for 45 years now. Just had our 45th reunion with the 8 surviving members of our class and the 3 widows and their wives and husbands and our instructors. We met together because we're still friends 45 years later, still in contact. And that kind of friendship comes from serving together. So we'll start by talking a little bit about those men, and then I want to tell you about a Medal of Honor winner who trained us. And then I want to skip forward to the war in Iraq, where I was invited to attend with the 82nd Airborne and build and run one of the early medical clinics in that war. And about the men I served with, men and women that I served with there. I think you'll find their stories interesting, and I hope you'll take a moment to review the significance of what our veterans are asked to do every day. And before I even tell their stories, I want to make another point, and that is one thing that you'll find in the veterans that you work with now is they have learned one very important lesson from their time in uniform, and that is respect. They are taught respect for each other. That's what the rank structure does, from enlisted to officer. And when you're risking your lives in training, whether you go to war or not, you learn to respect the rules and the operations that people put you on, because bad things happen to people who don't pay attention. So most of you know a veteran, and you'll know they know how to say sir and ma'am, and they know how to treat themselves and others with respect. And that's what you're going to see as a theme in the stories I'm about to tell you. So sit back and enjoy. So I'm going to begin by telling you about those 10 men I mentioned earlier This is the graduation photo of our BUDS class number 81. BUDS stands for Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training. Everybody starts out as frogmen and become SEALs. And 8 of these still men are alive, and 8 of these have served a career of over 20 to 45 years in special operations. The man who the arrow is on right now, Bob McNabb. Bob McNabb wears 2 little stripes on his left arm in this photo, indicating that he's an E2, the lowest rank that you can be when going through SEAL training. And he's holding the Honor Man certificate in his hand. He was chosen amongst all 70 that started to be the man that represented what a SEAL is all about the most. And he went on to serve 3 decades in the military, made it up through all the enlisted ranks, finally got commissioned as an officer where he served as the famous SEAL Team 6, and retired as a lieutenant commander, and is still serving today as a general services officer in the civilian corps of special operations. Amazing man. Equally amazing, sitting right here behind him, standing up, is Seaman Don Sayer. Seaman Sayer was our second lowest ranking enlisted man, who also went on to serve over 3 decades. And his last tour of duty was as a commander, rank of commander in the Navy, and also the commanding officer of SEAL Team 8 in Afghanistan. An equally amazing story. Right to his right is Frank Wingett, who in this picture is a petty officer, enlisted man in the Navy, but who went on to serve 40 plus years, make the rank of full captain, the same as a colonel in the other services, and stayed on active duty in order to play taps for hundreds of veterans who died in the service of their country. Absolutely astounding stories when I look back. Tom Valentine here, still married to the woman that he brought to training with him, served in SEAL Team 6, made it up to the enlisted ranks to the rank of lieutenant commander, retiring. And just an amazing story for each of the men here. So proud to call them friends today. The man who trained us is this man right here wearing the Medal of Honor. That's Mike Thornton as a young man with the bandoliers of ammunition around him while he was in Vietnam. What's unique about this man's story is he is the only Medal of Honor winner to have won the Medal of Honor for saving the life of another Medal of Honor winner. His officer, Tommy Norris, had already won the Medal of Honor when they were launched on a mission in Vietnam that mistakenly placed them behind enemy lines. And they found themselves suddenly surrounded by a superior military force of North Vietnamese and had to fight their way out. Unfortunately, early in the battle, his officer, Lieutenant Tommy Norris, was shot through the eye. Bullet comes out, leaving exposed brain, and the Vietnamese special operations man who was with him ran back for cover, leaving him there, believing him to be dead. Mike Thornton says, "Where's my officer?" And the Vietnamese, there were 4 other men on this mission, all Vietnamese special operations guys. He says, "Your officer is dead." And he goes, "Well, stay here. The SEALs don't leave men behind." He locked that M60 machine gun you see him holding there and ran back into the fight, calling in at the same time naval gunfire support on his own position because they were surrounded in every direction. Ran to Tommy Norris, picked him up, put him over his shoulder, and as he was lifting him up, the officer said, "Mike, I'm not dead." Although the eye was gone and the brain was exposed, Mike brought him back to his cover area where he administered first aid, gathered his other 4 men, and moved him to the ocean edge. And if you haven't said wow yet, you should, where he inflates his officer's life jacket, hangs him over the front of him, takes another wounded Vietnamese man, loops his arms around him from his back, and swims the 3 of them together out to sea with the other 3 alongside. And they swam that way for over 2 hours before they were picked up by a Navy SEAL patrol boat who refused to leave the area until they had proof of their death. And there was no thought in the ships at sea that they were going to survive this, having called fire on themselves. But in fact, every single one of them survived. Tommy Norris went on to serve as the director of the FBI's hostage rescue team. What an amazing story. And there's Lieutenant Tommy Norris with his glass left eye, 22 surgeries later. And one of the fun side stories is he was actually in the hospital getting another surgery when Mike Thornton was awarded the Medal of Honor by President Nixon. And he asked Nixon, can you get Tommy out of the hospital and bring him to the ceremony? And he said, I'll try, but he couldn't. So Mike Thornton went into Bethesda Naval Hospital, snuck him out of there and brought him to the White House and said, well, he's here, can he stay? And they did, and he did. And this is Instructor Mike Thornton, who, as a first-class petty officer in Vietnam, retired as a lieutenant commander in the United States Navy and one of the greatest men of all time in my experience. And I'll go on to tell you about my quick trip to Iraq. I was there for 6 months with the 82nd Airborne Division in the very first part of the war. And I was assigned to the 782nd Charlie Company, which is the medical company of the 82nd Airborne. And I was given this clinic to turn, well, this building to turn into a clinic. It was a bombed out shell of a sand colored building, because everything in Iraq is either blue of the sky or sand brown. And we gently converted it into an emergency room, an urgent care center, a psychiatric hospital, a four-bed holding hospital. And we're there from the very beginning dealing with the casualties that came in, of which sadly there were many. And the story I want to tell you is about this man. This particular picture is now Colonel Craig Dobson, who was my pediatrician assigned to me. We were 3 doctors, a young lady, family physician, myself, and Craig. And we received a phone call one night that there was an enemy casualty coming to our location that needed help. He was being driven by ambulance from a place 2 hours away with multiple gunshot wounds, an arm amputation held on by a tourniquet, and we were to get him stabilized and shipped to the next level of care, which was the surgeons 2 hours from us, 2 to 3 hours from us. And the reason he came by ambulance was, it was one of those rare days in Iraq when it was raining and the helicopters couldn't fly. Now, some of you are going to notice I said this is an enemy combatant coming to us, and it was. But we're doctors, and we're United States doctors, and we will save those who need savings. And I'm proud to say that that has always been the case in all the wars that we've fought. Well, Craig Dobson is a pediatrician. He's particularly skilled at starting IVs in the scalps of babies. And when he got to us, he had bled so much, he could not get an IV in. And so I called him in, and I said, Craig, get an IV in him. And he tried, and he couldn't. And so I did something I've never done before, except in a training environment on animals. And I made a cut down on his ankle. I found the vein, I threaded the IV in, he tied it off, and it worked. And during this time, where this enemy combatant is conscious and unhappy. He's in pain. And we're administering enough morphine to keep him safe. But we now have a 2 to 3 hour ambulance ride ahead of us, and through safe routes. And the chances of him surviving didn't look real good. And Craig Dobson got into the ambulance to show the medics in the ambulance how to draw up 10 milligrams of morphine from a 5 milligram vial. And they were so scared at 18 years old that they couldn't get it. And he leaned out the door to me and he says, Colonel, you gotta let me go. And he knew that the rules said doctors don't go on ambulance transfers, particularly through bad guy country. There's just not enough of us. And he asked it with enough sincerity that I said, Craig, we're breaking the law. The rules are against us when we do this, and we're going to have to answer to higher authority. He goes, you got to let me go. And he did. And what I didn't know until I wrote my book about his heroic events that night is that ambulance, by tradition, is flanked by 2 armed vehicles on each end, front and back, of the 82nd Airborne to protect the transfer. Well, he went to the lieutenant colonel in charge at the time, and he said, boss, we got a 3 hour ride. He's not going to make it. But if you'll let me do this and drive this convoy right through the middle of bad guy country, it's raining, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, we go through it at high speed, we take a small risk, but I could save this casualty. And the colonel in charge said, Captain, go do it. And they did, and I didn't know this part of the story. He never shared it with me until I was sending him the chapter about his events. And what he did that night, took 35 minutes through bad guy country, got him to the surgeon's road. He did live. And to this day, you know, I look at him as one of the heroes in my life. He took that chance to save an enemy combatant so that his medic would not have that man's death on his conscience. And that's what he told me. So thank you all for letting me tell those few stories. And I hope it gives you a picture as to the importance of the tasks that we ask our men to perform almost every day of their lives. Thank you again, and have a great Veterans Day.
Hello, and happy Veterans Day. My name is Dan Bruno, and I am the president of the Duke Military Association. And I appreciate the time that the Raleigh leadership has given me today to talk to you a little bit about our association. About 2 years ago, our Chancellor, Dr. Washington, established a number of affinity groups across Duke Health. The military veterans was one of those groups. At the time, we also included our veteran colleagues across the entire Duke campus and university. And so today, our target audience is about 1,000 plus Duke employees who have indicated that they are veterans within the HR system. So this association is committed to promoting diversity and inclusion across the campus. Our core focus of the group includes enhancing Duke's awareness of employees who are veterans and families of veterans, and recognizing the unique experiences and backgrounds that they bring to Duke. This includes appropriate military ceremonies, as you have participated in today, and association's involvement in other events across Duke. Additionally, the Military Association strives to bring together our internal veteran community to enhance intercompany support for our employees, while also engaging in our local communities in various outreach activities. We're committed to recruiting, developing, mentoring, and retaining top talent. And we look to the veteran community as a source for this recruitment activity. So if you're interested in our military association, would like to learn more about it, you can simply Google Duke Military Association, one word, and it will take you to our website. Or you can send me an email at dan.bruno@duke.edu if you have not been receiving our newsletters and would like to learn more about our organization. So thank you for your time. Happy Veterans Day, and thank you for your service.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country love, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy glory find, till all success be nobleness and every gain divine. America, America, God shall see